But I do want to get into some baseball, man. Baseball is back Thursday, opening day. White Sox at noon, I believe. And the yeah, you know what I almost thought about, hey, maybe we should go to that game. Think about this. Who's in the house? Who's calling the games now for the Detroit Tigers?
Yeah.
I mean, we can go there and heckle them. You want to go heckle them?
Call a guy who's already handicapped. I don't know.
You don't want to heckle a guy with that.
The show could go at this point.
I mean, we just go heckle him a little bit. I mean, look, would any true Southsider not heckle him, handicapped or not?
I don't know. Jason Benetti was great for this team.
He's still great.
He was a nobody before he became a White Sox announcer. I mean, he did some college basketball games,
which is most White Sox front office members.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I wish I could disagree, but now, yeah, I mean, he's doing national stuff. He's not going to be doing, he'll be doing like 120, 130 Detroit Tigers games because he likes to do a lot of national stuff, and they're letting him do that. The Sox didn't like that. It seemed a lot more dirty than when you heard from him. It seemed to be a lot more dirty, but yeah, he's going to be calling the game in Guaranteed Rate Field.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's going to be calling it for the other side. You got the Tigers coming to town. Big divisional series to start off the season, to be honest with you, because the White Sox have to play better in the division if they want a chance to win the division. Like I've said a couple of times, I think that they will. There's a lot of ifs with this team, though. There's the if big if, and I'll say it 5 more times, if Eloy Jimenez can stay healthy. And play up to his potential, because he was healthy. He played 120 games last year, and only managed like a 720 OPS.
Yeah, it was around there. It was over 100, I think, but he was hurt, 40, 50 games, and he was hurt. I mean, the guy got hurt running about 3 times. He's hitting well, though, this year. Also, Moncada's a question mark. Their starting rotation now is a complete question mark. I mean, you got Garrett
in the bullpen.
You got Garrett, the bullpen as well. We'll get to that. I mean, Garrett Crochet is your, opening day starter. And he's not going to be a starter. He's going to be what they call an opener now. So he's only going to pitch 3 or 4 innings, depending on, maybe he gets to the 5th if guys are grounded, right to Nicky Lopez or Paul DeYoung or something like that. Or Yohan Moncada, but or hitting pop flies, whatever. He might get to the 5th, but probably not. He's your opener to start the season. We just talked about Eric Fetty. He's gonna pitch the 3rd game of the series. He's your 3rd starter. He's probably the guy that's gonna eat up the most innings, really. And he didn't even play in the majors last year. They also have a lot of other question marks, like Nick Nastrini, who they got from the Dodgers, has a sub 1 ERA in spring, and he's that he started those games, so he's going against a lot of starters in Major League Baseball, and a lot of guys are trying to make the team. So he's looked really good. They got him for Lance Lynn trade, and they got a bullpen guy for Lance Lynn as well, who's going to be in the Sox bullpen, who's going to be a leverage guy. So if you got a leverage guy and a starter for half a season of shitty Lance Lynn and his fat ass, then you did pretty good there. And Nick Nastrini looks like he's going to start, especially if they got rid of 2K Toussaint. I mean, it looks like Nastrini got the gig, at least for now. And then they got Mike Soroka, who was a number 1 draft pick from the Washington Nationals. He's a question mark, though. He's never really had a good season. He's definitely built up, though. He can throw 160, 180 innings, and he's been great in spring, too. There has been some bright spots in spring for the Sox. It's just there's, like you said, there's so many question marks. That's why you send me a text today, like, where would they line up in their bullpen? Where would they line up in the division on their starting line? Like, it's tough. I think the ceiling of their starting rotation is average. I think that's their ceiling. So maybe second, third in the division, but go ahead.
The pitcher that you talked about, what was his name?
Nastrini.
He's not even listed on their roster right now.
Yeah. Well, they didn't put him down yet. I mean, he's still on it. I don't know why they don't have him listed there. Probably because,
But they still have Tuki Toussaint on there, so
yeah, it's weird.
I mean,
you might be looking at something from the beginning.
Welcome to ESPN.
We thought he was going to be the starter. He was pretty good at the end of the year last year. Had a sub-4 ERA last year.
He was decent this spring too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they got rid of him. Maybe they want the young guys to play. They will have starters backing up. The guy that they got for Cease is going to be in AAA. He's going to be like your 7th or 8th starter. So they, and then they got Chris Flexen, who's just an innings eater too. Like, he's not going to be anything special. Is there talent here? Yes. I mean, Garrett Crochet, when he came into the league in 2020, he had the most pitches out of any pitcher over 100 miles an hour. And he only pitched like 20 or like 10 innings. Granted, that year they only played 60 games, but still has a lot of nasty pitches, has a great slider, working on a changeup, and has a great fastball, way above average fastball. And he could be great, but he's not going to pitch. He's going to pitch like 120, 130 innings this year. So, it's going to be a weird year. It could really go south fast, but it's probably the most up and down team. I can't think of another one in the league because there is talent on this team.
There is.
I mean, there's a guy who almost won the batting title, Yohan Moncada. He was like 2nd or 3rd in 2019. You got a guy who's hit 30 home runs. You got a center fielder who's could be the best center fielder in the league. Yeah. Might already be. But you got a lot of question marks. You got a guy in Andrew Vaughn who's hit more home runs every single season. He had 21 last season. You'd like to see him hit 30 this season. So, but there's just a lot of question marks. So it'll be.
There's a lot of question marks. You got Michael Kopech pitching out of the pen, but Kopech, he was he hit 101 the other day on the gun in spring training.
Yeah, because he's going to be in the bullpen now. So now he can just throw fire. He doesn't have to save it, for 100. Yeah. And I always thought, we talked about it last year, that he's probably better out of the pen. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we thought they should have moved him in the pen last year, but,
Is the idea for him to be on days that Crochet starts to be the long guy out of the pen for Crochet?
That's possible. That actually makes a lot of sense, but I think they want him in leverage situations at some point. Maybe it starts out that way. They see how it goes, and if he pitches really well, then then they
turn
move
him into a closer.
More of a leverage. Possibly, he's got the stuff to be a closer. I mean, if he's gonna pitch 101 miles an hour, even in the majors, that's tough to hit. Still,
but is he okay with that? I mean, because that's going to be the big thing moving through. It is with anybody. Like right now, on the other side of town, the Cubs are kind of doing the same thing with Drew Smyly, right? He's pitching out of the pen. They've moved him over to the pen. He's been a starter in this league for over 10 years. But his answer to that really impressed me the other day, because somebody asked him, they said, are you upset that you're not starting? And he goes, actually, he's like, I've been a starter in this league for 10 years. He's like, my stuff really plays out of the bullpen. He's like, it really plays well in short outings. He's like, and it's kind of where I belong right now. So I'm fine with pitching out of the pen. You need that kind of attitude from Michael Kopech, not a guy who is all right. Like, yeah, sure, I'll start throwing in the pen, but I want to be a starter again at some point. If he's going to take on that role of your leverage guy, your closer, he's got to be resigned to that fact that he's okay pitching 1 to 2 innings here and there. But at that rate too, you also get more appearances.
He got, true. And he got what he's getting what he deserved. He could not throw strikes. Didn't really, never got his changeup to work. was just fast slider, fastball. And that can work with a guy like Dylan Cease, who has one of the best sliders in the league. Who are these fucking guys? Sounds like you boys are handicapping the Indians for the movie Major League. Yes, that's basically what we're doing. Nick Nastrini wasn't even on the roster that Combs was looking at.
I had to pull up I was looking at ESPN.
Out there.
I was looking at ESPN's live rosters for baseball, but he's on the MLB one though.
He was pitching in the California Penal League last year.
He's on the MLB.com roster and depth chart. And he's listed as their fifth starter.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be their fifth starter, and their fifth starter isn't gonna pitch, I don't think, until April 6th, I want to say, because they get the day off.
Yeah.
That's another thing about baseball. You wait this many months for baseball to come back. They got
play
the
a day, then they wait.
And then a day off.
Yeah, I know.
Which
crazy.
Yeah.
So you've got Garrett Crochet, Michael Soroka, Eric Fetty, Chris Flexen, and Nick Nastrini.
Yeah.
As your starting five.
Here we go.
In the bullpen is Michael Kopech, Tanner Banks, Tim Hill, Jimmy Lambert, and Delvey Garcia.
I think the guy from the Dodgers you might be missing. That
Brebbia?
Nastrini. Yeah.
Brebbia? Yep.
No, not Brebbia. That's who they got from the give me a second here. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of, the only guy that you could really say who's totally established and has had success in that, Mike Soroka a little bit. He was a first rounder and had, a few good games, but really the only one that's had a good season is Garrett Crochet. And he wasn't even a closer. He was a leverage guy. He was a left-hander, but he wasn't even their number one left-hander. That was Aaron Bummer.
Right.
Back then. He might have been for a little parts of the season because Bummer's always hurt, but yeah.
So where would you put, if you are looking at the division, where are you ranking the White Sox pitching staff, starting rotation and bullpen? Where are you putting them amongst the division?
It's hard it's right now, if I'm pressed to do it, and if I'm pressed to do it, they're just right in front of the Kansas City Royals, second from last. I'd say number one would be the Cleveland Indians. The actual Cleveland Indians, because they still got, Shane Bieber, who at any time can win a Cy Young, to be completely unhittable. He's unhittable at certain points in the season, every season. And, a few years ago when he won the Cy Young, he was unhittable pretty much the whole season. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know. The people talk about the Twins pitching rotation is in just as much disarray as the White Sox. And look, their lineup might be a little bit more consistent than the White Sox right now.
Yeah.
But they're not like world beaters right now. So I think the Indians might have the best rotation in this division as well. I think that, behind Bieber, you've also got Tristan McKenzie. They've also got this up and coming kid, what's his name? Logan Allen or something. And then Tanner Bibby. Tanner Bibby is also a young kid that can absolutely just sling it. I really like the Indians rotation. The Twins rotation being Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Bailey Over. It's just like the White Sox where you're like, who?
Yeah,
wait a minute. Who?
And by the way, Jordan, and I couldn't remember his name, Jordan Leisure is the other bullpen guy. I don't know if ESPN has it. They think he's going to make the team too. He's the other guy they got for Lance Lynn.
So I'm looking at the depth chart on MLB.com. And they do not have Jordan Leisure listed.
Maybe he doesn't make the team. I mean, maybe something happened, but as of yesterday, he had a shot and he's had a good spring. So
yeah,
Marco, Royals and White Sox are going to be worse than the A's.
No,
I don't.
I don't
know about that.
this Whiteside, and here's where I really want to get into this now is more because the lineups, where the White Sox start to really stack up in this division is in their lineup. I know they have some ifs, and I know we've talked about this before. If Eloy Jimenez is healthy, if Andrew Benintendi has his normal back of the baseball card season, if Luis Robert is himself, if Yohan Moncada wants to play baseball
and not do music videos.
Yeah, there's a lot of ifs there, and not to mention, you still got guys like Oscar Colas in the system. Who's the second baseman?
Not right now. Jordan Colson Montgomery.
Colson Montgomery,
who could be a second baseman, third baseman, also plays shortstop. He's played shortstops in the minors, but guys.
So you got both of those guys who probably could be call-ups by June.
Yeah.
You put them in there with guys like Max Stassi, Martin Maldonado. Andrew Vaughn is Andrew Vaughn's a really good baseball player, and Andrew Vaughn has pretty much improved every single season. Not so much last year, but he has improved just about it. Like he can hit, man. And if you're putting him in a lineup where Luis Robert is really on a roll, Eloy Jimenez is hitting well, Andrew Benintendi is hitting better than he did last year, this White Sox team can have a really decent season in a really bad division. That's what you guys have to remember. It's a really bad division.
It is.
So win your divisional games. That's why I said a big divisional start to start the season against the Detroit Tigers, who a lot of people think might be a sneaky play as well. In this division,
Robert is absolutely the only one he's confident in, which I don't blame you. There hasn't really been any guy who's consistent. Maybe Benintendi's had a pretty consistent career other than last year. Always been able to hit. You're right. It could be an above average. They're not going to lead the league in offense, but it could be an above average offense. I wouldn't be shocked if it was, but like we said, again, it's a lot of ifs. There's less ifs in the lineup than any part of this team.
Right. The first weekend where you're going to be facing guys like Skubal and Kenta Maeda and I believe who's the other guys? They have Jack Flaherty and Casey Mize against the Detroit Tigers. I think the Detroit Tigers probably have, if not the best, the second. They're right up there with Cleveland for the better rotations in this division. So you're going to find out really quickly where this lineup stacks up with those rotations. Now I know, look, baseball is a game of adjustments. So just because if they start out 1-2 or 0-3 or whatever the case is, it's a game of adjustments. So just because they hit well against Detroit now doesn't mean they're going to hit well against Detroit the very next time that they see them. I get that point, but it's a good test right away. It's good to see where you're at right away. That's why I like the Cubs. I love the Cubs opening weekend schedule against the Texas Rangers. You're going up against the defending champions. Like, let's see where you stack up. You're supposed to be a division champion yourself. Let's see where you stack up. And you're going into their house when they're raising their banner, when their place is going to be packed and their fans are going to be hyped up. Like, I want to see how the Cubs lineup responds to that.
Absolutely.
How the Cubs pitching responds to that.
Not crazy important injuries, but they've had a couple injuries. Jamison Tyone isn't going to start the season.
Thank God.
I hear he's healthy. I hear he's healthy. He's going to be one of their starters, right? He's got to eat up innings at least for them.
Hopefully not.
He's healthy now. It's just he's got to build up his arm at this point. His back is supposedly better. Do you think they go into free agency and just have Tyone be a long guy or?
I think they're done. I don't think they're going to get Jordan Montgomery. I think Jordan Montgomery is going to go to the first contending team that has a serious injury in their staff.
Yeah.
That's where I think Jordan Montgomery is going to end up, which is a shame because he should already be on a rotation somewhere. He should already be on the team. Done himself a disservice. His agent has done him a disservice by holding out longer. But I don't know. Like, with Luis Robert potentially being the best player in the AL Central and no team having a dynamite rotation, the Sox have a chance, not a huge chance, but an opportunity at least to not be last. I highly agree with that. But again, like, for me, the Indians and a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people talk about the Tigers. And when you look at the Tigers rotation, the Tigers bullpen, I think might be deeper than any other bullpen in this division. And then you look at a lot of the young kids that they have, man. That
Yeah,
Gio Urshela pickup, picking up Gio Urshela was a great pickup for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Go along with the young guys that they've got coming up, like Zach McKinstry. They've got the other kid there. What's his name? Not Canna, Riley Green. And there's one more guy. Is it Torkelson? Spencer Torkelson? Like they've got
Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah.
They got a great young player named Javier Baez as well.
You made me spit my water out.
Spit take.
Yeah, look, man.
I mean, if he has a great year, he has the talent. There is no
Just be
doubt.
a tenth of what you were in 2019, 2018.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean this. Hey, if he's 80% of what he was then, and I mean, it's not like they're betting on that, but if he is, what is he getting paid? $25 million this year?
Is he even starting for them on opening day? Is what I wonder, because like
he's gotta be. You gotta try to see if he's got anything left.
I mean, I just don't know, because like his spring stats, I mean, he's been abysmal. He has 47 at bats this spring. He has 6 hits. He's batting 128 this spring. He has 6 hits, and in those 47 at bats, he has 19 strikeouts.
As soon as I put this hot poker in my ass, I'm going to.
You know the end.
I don't. Yeah. Marco says, could you DH for Baez? Just have him play the field. Let the pitcher hit and DH for Baez.
I mean, he's a great fielder. No one's saying he's not. I mean, he has occasional errors, but it's also the Tim Anderson thing where he gets to a lot of balls.
Yeah. I don't. Baez resetting the Mendoza line. Shanna said, don't forget to swallow.
People will come, Ray.
Take your own advice, Shanna.
Whoa! Wow!
So we were doing the show at UA today.
To the Cubs.
I asked my producer. I said we were talking about ballparks and different ballpark food, and I was talking about how good the White Sox food is at the ballpark. And I said, hey, when you go to a game, are you a Chicago dog kind of guy, or what do you like? And he's like, oh, I'm a raw dog kind of guy. And then he goes 2 seconds later, he's like, I also like my hot dogs plain. And I was like, oh boy. All right, here we go.
You are and always have been penis cancer in human form.
Jeremiah says, when Javi is bad, he's the worst player in baseball, but he has those months where he's just crazy good.
He does.
It's true. It's actually weeks that he's crazy good, not months. It's usually weeks. Like he's in spurts. He's a much worse version of Alfonso Soriano. Shanna says, I know it's rude to spit. Do you? Clearly I don't, because I just spit my water everywhere when he started talking about Javier Baez. But no,
he's going to be 31. He's going to be 31. Yeah. I can't believe that.
But that's why when the White Sox, when you start shaping up this White Sox offense and this White Sox lineup, you start putting it up against other lineups in this division, and I think it's better than just about all of them.
I don't know. Detroit's going to have a pretty good offense. The Twins can possibly, they still have some talent on that offense, but could be. Yeah. I mean, there is some, they do have some hitting talent. The Sox do. There's a road to where they hit 170, 180 home runs. That's a lot these days.
But I mean, the Twins have just as many question marks with injuries as the White Sox. I mean, does Byron Buxton stay healthy Again, he hasn't been able to stay healthy the last couple of years.
DH for most of the year last year because he keeps getting hurt.
Right, exactly, and he still got hurt as the DH.
Eloy could be his caddy.
Does Carlos Correa have a bounce back year? He was atrocious last year. Is Royce Lewis every bit as good as a lot of people think that he might be? I heard somebody today say that they think that Royce Lewis might be the best player in the division by the end of the year. So it's going to be interesting.
I don't know about that. I mean, Luis Robert plays in the division, man.
I know.
He was the best player.
Trust me, I know. I just
not a better player.
There was a caller today that I heard on the radio on my way either to work or from work. They were talking about, he said that Eloy Jimenez is a top 5 player in the division.
No,
I don't think so either.
If he ever became a left fielder and he hit the way his talent shows, because he can even hit good pitching. He's one of those guys. That's what's so tantalizing about him, is because he can hit very good pitching. Not a lot of guys can do that. It's a rarity. I rounded to months for symmetry. Javier doesn't need any favors. He's batting 120 in the spring training, and he's making $25 million this year. He doesn't need any favors, Jared. He doesn't need any help. Generations of his family are comfortable.
Yeah. And all he's got to do is just go talk to Shohei Ohtani. He might be able to turn some of that money into more money through a couple of well-placed bets.
Well-placed bets.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Marco says, going to be a fun season, losing a lot of 97 games.
Yeah.
That's I've heard that a lot too. It's like we're going to lose cleaner. We might lose games, but we're gonna look better. Their
defense is going to be way better. Their catching defense is way better. Up the middle, they're going to be better. DeYoung is Tim Anderson wasn't very good defensively last year. And he was most of his career, but he wasn't last year. Most of these White Sox hitters have been disappointment, including Luis Robert before last year. Yeah, Doubting Thomas. Thanks for bringing that up, buddy. And change your moniker, asshole. Because last year, remember, Doubting Thomas said, no way Luis Robert was going to be good. And we said he could be the best player and one of the best players in the league. Ends up 38 home runs.
Hey, I fucked your dad.
That's the Doubting Thomas. That's the Doubting Thomas, I'm guessing. Yeah. But in a bad lineup, in one of the worst lineups in the league, he did that. So, I mean, this should be a better lineup. It'll definitely be a better team defensively, depending on injuries. If you got Gavin Sheets playing right field, you're in trouble. And if you got Gavin Sheets playing right field and you got Eloy Jimenez playing left field, you're in trouble. But
right.
We can go Cubs whenever you're ready.